There I am. Folks, how are you doing? It is my sincere pleasure to bring aboard the captain's galleon, Mr. Jerry Robinson, a gentleman that I've had a chance to hang out with a couple of different times, both in person and via the waves here. Jerry, this is your second time on, I believe.
Yes, it is my second time, and it won't be the last, right, Captain Jack?
No, you have I mean, I say this to everybody. You have a standing invitation to come on anytime. And I say this to everybody that watches the show. I mean, you don't have to have an engraved invitation like a Willy Wonka ticket. Anytime that I'm on the show, if you don't need a golden ticket, you can just come in and talk about what you want to talk about, what is bugging you, something that you want to give some insight to, and the fact that we have both Raider and Philadelphia ties together. That's
Yeah.
that's something that's unique, and that's actually I was looking around. I was gonna. Oh, there it is. Okay, so anytime you want to talk Philly, I can wear that sports hat too.
Well,
So again,
Jack,
welcome in it. But
what's interesting about our Philly and Raider connection is, the last game was the Eagles versus the Raiders, right? The last game that the Raiders played, and a friend of mine, wanted to fly me out, invited me to the game, that game, and I said, you know what? I lived in Chile, Philly for 6 years. I said, December, I do not want to go back to Philadelphia. Not during that time. It was cold there, it really was. But you know something? It just watching the Eagles play against the Raiders, it reminded me of the first time that I went back to Philadelphia as a Raider. And it was a great experience because the fans there are awesome. They're a little nuts now. They're crazy. They will let you know how they feel. But there was a couple of signs that were, made up with my name on it, and it made me feel good because it made me realize that, I did have an impact on some people that were there, and and they were sad that I was gone, and I was kind of sad that I was gone too. But I was happy to be with the Raiders because of my childhood dream team has always been the Raiders. But I saw that game, it just reminded me of a little flashback moment. But then I realized how damn cold it was. I said, you know what? No, no, no. Now I'm glad I'm home in Santa Rosa.
yeah, and actually, people ask me, "You going to Philly?" I'm like, no, I'm not going to Philadelphia in December when it's cold as foxtrot. And this was the other identifying thing. It said, if our team had been playing even a modicum of a team capable, and I'm going to lay it on the line, a team that just was not, that made the trip and was not even, I can't even put it into words. I was not going to waste my time, my
Yeah.
money, my effort being cold than being miserable to watch a crap effort. I was in Kansas City to watch a 31-0 defeat, front row. I was in Indianapolis to watch. I don't remember what the score was. I think it was 40 to something, front row. And I was in DC. And again, I don't remember the scores
Yeah.
other than the Kansas City score, because between the Eagles and the Chiefs, we lost 62-0, 31-31. That's the only reason why I remembered what the scores were. And it said, I'm sorry, I am the most diehard Raider fan of passion that I know of. And I'm not gonna spend my money to watch something that is not worth the effort and the time. And I'm sorry to say it like that, but it's my money. It's like, I'm not sponsored. I go to games to go to games, and I
Yeah.
wasn't going to do it this past weekend. So that's
You
why
know,
I didn't go.
Captain, I understand exactly what you're saying. I just remembered when that Kansas City game, what had happened was that Saturday, UCLA they were honoring our 50-year reunion or anniversary of us, the UCLA Bruins defeating the Ohio State Buckeyes in the Rose Bowl when they had two-time Archie Griffin Heisman Trophy winner. And I went to the game on Saturday. We were driving back on Sunday, and the game was on, and I almost wanted to jump out the truck. I said I couldn't believe what I was listening to, and but I do want to say this. I have so much respect, and so do the alumni. Trust me, because we all get together when we have alumni reunions and stuff like that. We truly appreciate the Raider Nation, man. Our fans are awesome. Like you said, you travel wherever you got to travel. You guys support the team. And let me ask you a question. What is it like? What is it like now watching the Las Vegas Raiders play once you've had an opportunity to see the Oakland Raiders or Los Angeles Raiders play? What is the consensus of that with the Raider Nation?
I don't know. I don't know whether I can speak for everybody,
Yeah, you're
because
right.
there are people that that have differing views. I mean, all I know is that I'm a true fan.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I did a show last night, and I had on my Navy jersey and my Navy hat. I says I'm doing the show tonight wearing a winning football team. And it was kind of like my way of protesting in a nice way, of that I haven't left the Raiders. They're in my heart, and they're in my I try to embody, in my estimation, I try to embody what it's like to be a true and diehard Raider fan. But even I can't hold back at times about, wow, it's again, the money, the time, the effort. The only reason why I've gone to a lot of the games that I've gone to this year, and I will be in Houston. I will be in Houston this weekend. And oh, by the way, I got a chance to talk to Ira Matthews last night, so he told me to give you a shout. He goes, "Oh, you talking to JR? Yeah, tell JR today."
All right.
So Ira, I can't wait to see Ira. And Ira was saying that Poncho's going to be out there, and I was like, great, because I haven't seen Poncho in a while.
No.
So I told him that when they get there, make sure that they give me a call, because Ira called me when I was on the show, and I had to give him a "I'll call you back" message, because I was doing the show at the time. But it's always great to see the alumni and to interact with the alumni, and it's different, because the love for the Raiders. I go back to when and again, people know this. I've been a Raiders fan since I lived in Philly as a kid, because I went to school with George Blanda's nephew.
Wow.
In '72, and so he was like saying, "Hey, you check out this team. My uncle plays for this team." And so I was like, all right. And I would watch the 4:00 NBC, because it was NBC at the time. It was like Kurt Gowdy and I can't remember who the other guy was. Al yeah, there we go. Al DeRogatis was the color guy, and Kurt was the play-by-play guy. And I remember that the Raiders were mostly on 4:00 on NBC, because everybody wanted to watch the Raiders, because that was the team that had the most, I guess, they had a lot of stats. They brought the viewers in. So that's where it was easy to become a Raiders fan, when they were on most of the time on NBC during those days. And I became a very quick fan, because I saw that. I saw the logo. And I saw a team that kicked everybody's ass, and that they were hard and they were punishing. And, it was easy to become a fan. And it was, I actually, for a little bit on the offside, I just heard a thing on YouTube today about Bobby Clark, the longtime captain of the Philadelphia Flyers. And, Bobby Clark embodied the soul of the Broad Street Bullies. And, they were fierce and they were competitive. And it was that I was a fan of the Raiders, and I was a fan of the Flyers. And there's no better fandom for me, is that the Raiders overall. But I love the teams that are tough and rugged and kick ass and take names, and that are fan friendly. And just like you said, it's wonderful to have the alumni do all that they do, because I love to hang out with all you guys. I keep telling them, I said, why didn't you tell me you were in Vegas last time? We would have hung out, So I hope that happens again. But I'm looking forward to more times with you and other alumni. And that's actually a really good segue. We're gonna pimp the one thing that we are going to talk about tonight is that there will be a Raiders Legend Cruise with Jeff Barnes and Jerry Robinson and Kenny King and Frank Hawkins. At least I know those four people. And it's going to be a cruise from out of Long Beach down to Ensenada and back. And I believe it's May 15th through the 18th of next year. If I didn't get that incorrect, I think I got it.
You got it right, Captain. You know what? You got that the Raiders Legends Cruise for a cause. And Jeff Barnes, I call him JB, JB and his wife, they've been doing it for, I think it's the 11th or 12th year. And it's a lot of fun because you get to get around our fans, they get a chance to be around, Kenny King and Jeff Barnes, Frank Hawkins. You're sitting there with people we have two-time Super Bowl champions. Those were the guys that were back in the day when the Raiders were really, really, really good and people feared them. I put it that way because of a lot of respect too. But it's a great cause because they pick a different cause every year, I believe it is, and they're doing something to help people. And the other part of it is we all get to hang out together because you have different interactions. You have, there's parties here. There's a panel there. You can ask the questions that you would like to ask that we might answer because it won't wind up in a book. You know what I'm saying? There's some stories that can't be printed, but it's a great experience. It really is. And I hope everybody gets an opportunity to come because there's nothing like being out in the Pacific Ocean on a big cruise ship, and all of a sudden you hear Raiders on one side, and it just travels across, and now everybody on the ship, they're trying to find out what's going on. But it's a great cause. It's a lot of fun, and I hope everybody gets at least get a chance to check it out.
For sure. And I will say this, and this is true. I want to make sure I got my right hat on. It'll be the first time that I have been on a large ship since I retired from the Navy. So I'm looking forward to coming on board and doing the proper sequence, because people don't know this, but when you enter a ship, if you are a sailor, there's a way to do it. You go, you're going up the gangway, and you look to the stern, and you salute the ensign at the stern. And then you go and you look at whoever is on the quarterdeck or the person that's going to be there on the quarterdeck, and you salute them and you say, "Permission to come aboard, sir." Yeah. And hopefully, if they even indulge you, that they will salute you back, permission granted, and then you get on the ship, because that's the way you enter the ship. And then when you leave, it's the exact opposite. You salute the quarterdeck, whoever is the officer aboard, permission to go ashore, sir, and the permission granted. Then you salute, and then you again find the flag, fly the ensign at the stern of the ship, and you salute that as you're leaving. So that's again, it's only as habits as a sailor, and I haven't done that in years. So I'm actually looking forward to doing that again.
Well, you know what? And I want to thank you again for your service because, my heroes are people in the military. Captain Jack, I don't care where I'm at. I could be at a store, I could be outside on a track, or I could be at a stoplight, or I could be standing in line to buy something. But when I see someone with a hat on that represents, the military, I will go over and I'll say, thank you for your service. And I really mean that. And once again, thank you for your service because I tell these young kids, you want to be like athletes. You want to look up to athletes and this and that. I said, you know what? My heroes are military people and firemen and policemen, people that serve. And once again, I just want to thank you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate that, sir.
You're welcome.
So
I like that hat. I like that hat. I like that. Matter of fact, speaking of hats, I think I'm gonna put on a hat too.
Okay, there you
Okay,
go.
here we
See,
go.
you got. See, now I like that because you got the obverse of the hat that I'm wearing. You know,
Right.
there's reverse and obverse. So we are black and white images of each other. That's a nice hat, sir. It's a nice
Yes,
hat.
you know what? Hey, there is only really one real true nation, and you know what? It really is a Raider nation, and it's just. I don't mean to be redundant, but I just want to thank all the Raider fans for their support. You know, over the years while I was there, and the years that they continue. You know, even up to now, because one of the things that people ask me is that what do you miss about football? What do you miss about the game? And they think I'm gonna either say the money or whatever it is. It is two things. It's my teammates, it's the camaraderie, and it's the love and the passion that we have for each other even to this day. Because Captain, when we go to Raider alumni weekend or Raider Wellness weekend, you get to see grown men 60 years, 70 years old, whatever, maybe down 70, 60, 50, 40 on down, tell each other that I love you. And I mean, and we mean it. And it's like, you know, to me, that's kind of rare. It's kind of rare. You don't find really men just saying I love you to the other men. We do, and we care about each other. That's number one. Number two is I miss the sound of our fans. I'm getting excited. I'm spitting all on myself. I got to dry off my mouth. I'm getting fired up. The sound of the Raider fans, you know what, is unmatched by any. You know, I think about when I was playing for the Raiders in Los Angeles. You know, you start deep in the tunnel, but as you get closer, all of a sudden you realize that our fans starting to see a couple jerseys pop up, and it starts to get a little louder. And then by the time we all get out there, the place just explodes. And I love that. And the other great thing about having our Raider fans is when away games, because I don't care how big a stadium might be on a away game, our Raider fans show up and they support. And I tell you, I look forward to hearing our fans cheering, especially on away games, because it's a family thing. It really is, Captain Jack. You know that it's it's like once you get in, you can't get out. You know, and I love it. So I want to thank all the Raider fans that are listening. Thank you for your support and your continued support, because it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to a lot of alumni that I know. I can't speak for everybody else. I just know how I feel and how important it is to me to see you guys still supporting the ball club. So anyway, I'm not gonna get on. I'm start rambling right now, but I just the love that you guys have, that we all have for one another, is special. It's a bond for life, and I really truly appreciate that. So I can speak for the alumni because I'm
And
telling you
Jerry,
that's how they feel.
yeah, and you can ramble, and you are. I tell you what, you and Phil Villapiano
Oh,
and Stu Schweigert are my top three guests that we have had hours of shows. And
hey,
again, it's because all I do is just with Phil. It's like I ask him a question, like go, and Phil, clip this by the way. Phil can just go on his and it's not a rant. It's just he will just go and go and go, and it's entertaining, and
he's
it's one.
very
And like I said,
entertaining. And Jack, I tell
go
you what,
ahead.
Jack, I love listening to Phil when I get a chance to be around him. He fascinates me. He has some stories, and he could just he ignites a room, man. The lights go on if it's dark, and when he walks into the room, and his stories and the way he tells it and his accent, and he was always been one of my favorite guys, because you know, my love for the Raiders came back when I was about 8 years old in Santa Rosa, California, where they had training camp. And I got to see all of the original Raiders. I call them the great ones, man. And so that's where my love for the Raiders come from. And I'll always be a fan too, no matter what happens. But I would like to see them. I would like to see them turn things around, but whether they turn around or not, they will at some point. I'm going to always be just like you and all the other Raider Nation fans. I will always be a fan. We have opinions about this and that. We're not happy about this and that, but I'm not going to turn my back on them, and neither is anybody in the real Raider Nation won't do that.
True,
Oh,
and I'm glad that you qualified it. The real
yeah.
Raider, because there are posers out there And I won't mention names because it's tacky
That's
to
okay.
mention names.
Well,
But there are folks.
you
I
might
don't
have a
get in
long
trouble.
list. You might have a long list of that, but anyway, I don't know. But you know
Yeah,
what? You know what? I'm like this with the Raiders. It's like, let's be realistic. Did we all expect a miracle to happen once Pete Carroll came in? I guess we probably did. Well, it's not happening. Okay, it's
mhm.
only 1 year, and it's one real bad year. And trust me, it's hard on Pete. It's hard on the players are there because it is what it is. The record is what it is, and it's very hard. And it may not look like they care. Sometimes I've heard people say they act like they don't even care. Just out there collecting checks. No, these ball. When you have pride, your pride won't allow you to accept you know, the situation the way it is, but there's not much that can be done right now. So, I look at it this way. It's still early. I mean, hey, early when I mean early, I mean, this is Coach Carroll's first year, and I'm not giving up on him. I feel for him. I feel for the guys that I feel for Max Crosby. I love Max energy, and there's other players too, but Max seems to he puts it all in at all the time, and he's just. It would have been fun having Max part of our group back in the LA Raiders. It would have been a whole lot of fun. That's the type of intensity that you need. And let me say this. The way things have been going this past year and the years before, but especially right now, with the what's our record? I don't know. We've only won 2 games.
It's like 2-12, 2-30. Be honest. I just know the number 2,
Me
and we
too.
have
I know the number
17.
two.
I think we are 2-13. If
Yeah,
I'm
that's it. It's
correct.
2-13.
Fifty.
I was
Oh, no,
I
no,
remember
two and
being
twelve.
at
Yeah, two and
I don't
12.
remember what
Yeah, because that's
two
where
and
we go.
12. Okay. Well, I remember being at a
Yeah,
game
2-12.
and someone said, God, what are you guys talking to? We're talking to some alumni. Okay. What do you guys think about what's going on? What would you guys have done? I said, I tell you what, our locker room would have been an MMA bout or UFC fight. We would have. It's hard to sit there week in and week out, and we work your butt off because they are working very hard. And for things to turn out the way they've been turning out, I truly believe that there would have been some conversations, so to speak, in our locker room, and if there were individuals that needed to be addressed, it would have been addressed because you're not just representing yourself. You're representing the former ball players. You're representing the Raider fans. You're representing more than just yourself. And it would have been interesting. I don't. I'm sure that we wouldn't have been able to have a peaceful locker room after 14 weeks, and our record was 2-12 or whatever it may be.
Right. And actually, for those who know, and because it is a media video era, we've already seen where Max has already gotten into it with the Landon Roberts, and Max has already gotten into it with Devin White, and I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, obviously there was a mess up. I'll just say it's a mess up, but it's also the fact that both men, both men take pride in what their jobs were, and so they were probably going after each other in the fact of, well, this happened, and yeah, it was volatile for an explosion on the sidelines both times, by the way, and within the last 2 or 3 weeks we've seen it. So we know that the players definitely they're not just collecting paychecks to collect
No.
paychecks. They have that pride of playing, and they're pissed off at what's going on. I can see that. And I'm pretty sure that it's self-evident to me, unless they are the greatest actors in the world and they all deserve Academy Awards at the very end when they're hosting Oscars, and this Academy Award goes to, the Raiders staff and my shipmates and because they want to win.
Yeah.
They want to win, and they take pride in at least putting out a fantastic product. And as we've already mentioned, it's been few and far between for what we've seen this year. The one game, the opener in New England, and I was there in New England, and that weekend we had an event and a ceremony for the patriarch. Al Davis was there because Brockton had a ceremony to honor him as a Brocktonian. And if we go out and Jim Plunkett's there because, he has the ties to the Raiders and the Patriots, and it was fantastic. It was a miserable day getting rained on, but winning that game. And then the only other time that we've been victorious is we beat the Tennessee Titans. And it was, honestly, folks, if a couple different things didn't happen, we would be 1-13 right now. Because the only game that we actually had a decent 4 quarters was, the Patriots game. But we should have won, the field goal that was blocked. I think that was the Bears. And we should have won the first time we went to Denver. And we should have won. I can't remember. There was another. We should have at least 3 more wins. But the woulda, coulda, shouldas don't help us out. And I'd like to ask Jerry about what you think and what if you as a player, because we already spoken about you want to win, you want to put a good product on the field, but there's many people, I should say most, but there's many people that are just saying the word tank, tank, tank. Tank for the number 1 pick. What do you say to that as a football player and a man?
There is no way if that word came up, tank, we're going to tank because we're trying to get a better position in the draft. That would be the most insulting thing you could ever say to an athlete. I'm going out there to compete. I'm out there to be the best that I can. Okay, we may not win the game, but I am going to be the best version of myself that I can be because I owe that to the team, I owe it to the fans, and I owe it to my teammates. I understand people talking about, to get a higher draft choice, but you know what? It's a violent sport, and you might have to do something crazy to either miss a tackle or drop a ball or whatever it may be. It could be dangerous in that aspect too. But tanking, no, that's not part of our DNA. It's not part of my DNA. And being a professional athlete, how hard you have to work to get to there because there's a very few selective few making it into the professional football ranks. Out of all the hundreds and thousands they come, and it's a privilege to play the game, and for you not to give everything you have, you're cheating your teammates and you're cheating the game. And I've heard people say it before, and I'm like, no, as a ball player, you just can't do it. I can't do it. Maybe there might be some people that can't. I do not know. But, I look around on that roster and I see some real diehard ball players who work their butts off. And I can't, the thought of that ever popping up or even thinking about considering doing something like that, it doesn't even exist because trust me, these guys they're working their butts off. They are in practice every day. They're doing what they got to do. They have injuries with their body. Nobody wants to lose. We don't line up as football players to lose a football game. It just changes. The situations change all the time, and unfortunately, we've been on the bad side, on the losing side, more than we'd like. But it's just something's got to change. Something's got to change. But I just understand you guys, when you watch the guys playing, they're playing hard. They're playing really hard. It involves your coaches, it involves your training staff, it involves your doctors, the ball players, everybody. Remember the other team, they get paid too. They're professional ball players too. So, their job is to make sure that the plays that they were calling against the Raiders that it works, and it does a lot of times, but vice versa, the Raiders were preparing defensively to stop this and offensively to do this and special team to do that. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. So tanking is just, I hate that word because it's like I wouldn't want to be on a team with somebody that wanted to tank, that wanted to be involved in. Okay, we're gonna lose this game, so we can position ourselves for that. I would not want to be on a team with somebody like that. And I tell you what, actually, if anybody on the teams that I played for with the Raiders had ever been somebody that had been talking like that, I'm pretty sure we would have handled it ourselves in the locker room, and it would probably would never be brought up again.
Yeah,
I'm getting
I was
fired up,
gonna
Captain
say
Jack.
if
I'm getting
you said
fired up,
that in
man.
Philly, Bill Burke. Yeah, well, good, good. Like Jerry, we need you. We need you. We can get you on the. Trust me, I know you can still play. So it's
I,
like
I,
I know
hey,
that
I
if you
would.
would say words like that in Philly, Bill Berkey would kick your ass.
Oh God, yeah. Well, you'd have to deal with Coach Vermeil first. But yeah,
Right,
Bill
right.
Berkey,
Yeah.
I love Bubba, man, and and his passing touched my heart real deeply because I learned a lot from Bill Berkey when I played for the Philadelphia Eagles. As a matter of fact, the very first touchdown I scored in the National Football League, we were playing the Washington Redskins. And Carl Harrison, it was like fourth down, and they were running. The Redskins ran a ball, and Carl hit the running back, and the ball was bouncing around, and I fell on the ball, got up, and ran. And my very first touchdown was against the Washington Redskins, and the very first person to run all the way down there to greet me and congratulate me was Bill Berge. And yeah, you're right. But they wouldn't even stood for that. But anyway, I'm quiet
No,
now,
and
Jack.
I said, and I'm no, I'm glad. I'm glad that you said it like because again, for the people that are telling us just tank, you don't understand what it's like to be a professional athlete. Because remember, if you are in the NFL, you are in the top, and I don't know what the exact numbers are, but you're in the top 0.01% of anybody who's made it. And so you've made it as a professional football player. And actually Stu Schweigert said this to me, and it's something that I try to remember because it's true. He would get on me. He said like, "How can you tell this person you suck? Because this person that you said sucks is in the NFL. No matter who it is, he has gotten that much of an acumen of athletic ability and athletic
Mhm.
prowess and athletic knowledge in order to become an NFL player. He might not be the best of the NFL players, but he doesn't suck. And I actually have remembered that when Stu told me that, and I try not to say I sometimes forget, you
Yeah,
know, but
that's a good
I
point,
like to.
though. You know what, Captain? I'm thinking about this. If, oh my goodness, I'm thinking about if someone on our team, if it was so obvious that this person was tanking, he would get his ass kicked. We would all confront this particular person. Oh my God, it makes it get me fired up behind the whole thing. You know what? It would not be a good thing for somebody to do that. It would not be. And I just, nowadays they're talking about they throw the word tanking out because they want different draft choices, this and that. But as a ball player, man, there's no way in hell I would be part of that tanking process. Nope, you're gonna get all I got because you know what? Out of respect and love and the kindness and the caring that I have for my teammates, I'm not there to let my teammates down. I'm not gonna be the one. I do not want to be the one. And it'd be ooh, that's awful. That's
Yeah.
awful. That's awful. Matter of fact, it's so awful I'm gonna have me a sip of coffee. Jesus criminy.
Well, yeah, please. Well, you do that, and I'm going to get a sip of another Arnold Palmer that I
Okay.
have pre-made. So it's like obviously no alcoholic, not an adult, but this is an adult Arnold Palmer beverage. So I will say that because it's well, that's what I drink for thing is that. And if, by the way, if you have anything that you want to ask Jerry Robinson, because this is a interactive interview, and we'll talk about a bunch of different
You
things.
know,
So
you know
go
what,
ahead,
John?
Jerry.
I don't mean to cut you off, man. You got me thinking about something here. About alcohol and beverages, adult beverages and stuff. You know, I am here today, and I'm proud to be able to say that I have 29 years of sobriety. And the reason I bring that up is that the hardest thing I've ever had to conquer was not drinking alcohol. It was easier for me to be 225 pounds and go up against a 365, 75-pound offensive lineman that's pissed off because I got a different color jersey on. And the offensive lineman, and you see, he gets into 3-point stance and that vein is sticking out in his head. It's easier to deal with that than it was to become sober. And I'm just, all of those people that are out there with the sobriety, you know what I'm talking about, man. God bless you, and just stay strong, because it's a beautiful world, you know. And anyway, I just wanted to mention that. They just brought that. I don't know why I just brought it up. You talking about alcoholic beverage,
No,
and you
no,
know,
that's
and
fine.
I so the 29 years. And the thing I want to say about this is that my Raider teammates, even to this day, those that know, you know, my path and the travels that I've been through and know about my sobriety, they're always making sure when we're at a gathering that someone, that the waitress or whoever it may be, doesn't screw up a drink for me. That's what, you can't put a value on the camaraderie and the love that we have. I mean, this Raider alumni is so deep and so strong, man. It is truly family. And it's just, I'm so grateful that, you know, I had a chance to be part of the Raider organization. You know, and I'm still part of the organization. You were once a Raider, always a Raider. And it's just, you know, I'm trying not to get emotional about it as I'm talking to you, but you know, to see these teammates of mine still protecting me from the struggle that I had 29 years ago. You know what I mean? Because 29 years ago, 30 years ago, I was a different person. Okay. But they're always on the lookout for me, and I'm always on the lookout for them. We're always trying to take care of each other. You know, it's funny because at alumni weekends, you know, when we all go to the game, preseason game, we all say the same thing. I would dare somebody to start some crap, start some mess right now on this alumni bus, or with any of this group of alumni, and see what happens. See what happens. There's a closeness, and there's a family, there's a camaraderie that we have. And I'm not sure, because I'm not in that, I'm not playing ball now. I'm not sure if the guys that are playing the sports now, if the ball players, if they feel the same way, because we were a tight group. We were still a tight group of people, you know, and as you mess with one of us, you got to mess with all of us. Now, I don't know if it's like that now, but it's amazing when you care so much about your teammate, what you're willing to do to make sure you do everything you have to do that is required of your assignment while you're playing a game, to make sure you do what you got to do so you don't let that guy down. You know, I don't know what it's like now, but I'm just trying to share some of the things that the way it was back then.
No, and that's and I think that I would say that you're or say the elder Raider Nation generation. I don't know if that's the proper term,
That'll
but
work.
the athletes of old, of 70s, 80s, maybe even into the 90s at the beginning, that was the way it is. You know, that it was
Yeah.
more family, it was more tight knit. It was also because that in my estimation, the contracts weren't so exorbitant that you relied upon your brethren, you relied upon your teammates to look things out, to help things out amongst you, because yeah, some athletes, and I know older Raiders as well, you know, they look at the contracts of today and they're just I don't want to say gobsmacked, but you know, it's like, damn, that is getting, you know, and you know, insert number here. And yes, I did clean it up for I can mouth it, but I didn't say it. But it's like, yeah, there's and by the way, it also now goes into the college ranks. And this was something I did want to get to talk to you about as well with NIL. And now you have these kids in college that are making exorbitant amounts of money, and they are a professional collegiate athlete. They're not a professional athlete of yet, but they are still paid, which which makes them a professional collegiate athlete. And I think that, and I know that I kind of mismatched here. Lincoln Kennedy says, Cap, you give me like 6 different questions and you want me to answer them all, and it's like, so I will go off the rails a
No,
bit. So I
no.
apologize. But
Hey, you're all good. And you know what?
it's different.
Speaking of that, the difference when you're talking about NIL. I mean, when I think about it, if back in the '70s at UCLA, um, if I had been receiving NIL money, what life would be like. The NIL money. You know what? Hey, I understand this when your number and your name, you're in college, and it's in the student store, and the school is profiting off of your name and your number. I understand that. Or if you're on the cover of the tickets, or if you're on the cover of the program, if they're using you for this and that, I understand that. I understand that. That's I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I'm actually okay with that. I just wish that I had an opportunity. That's the part that I, the part that pissed me
Oh
off is that
yeah.
I didn't get it. That's it. But I'm glad they're getting it. I remember back in the '70s, and the '80s when coaches, college coaches, if they didn't like what was going on, they'd leave and then go somewhere else. But ball players, you had to, if you left, you had to sit out a whole year. Coaches could go wherever they wanted to go, and we could not. And I've always said, that wasn't fair. But you know something, Captain Jack, is that transfer portal that they have. I mean, now, for people that know, everybody, I'm sure everybody knows this. If you're not happy where you're at, you can get in a transfer portal and get picked up by somebody else who's going to pay you more money. And there's no loyalty in that. And now it's not about the school itself. It's about what can I get from this particular school. If you're a great ball player, if you love being at the major school, and if they're treating you right, you're happy. But if you get a phone call from another school telling them we'll give you more money, all you have to do is get in that portal transfer, that transfer portal, and you could be gone. And it's just it's become a really big business now. It really has. And coaches leave, players leave. You got NIL money. I guess they're even doing it in some high schools. I don't even know, but it's just it's taken away that there was something about being able to go through the process of high school, college, and then to the pros. That's what separated everything else now. And money wise, because okay, now you're being paid. There's guys in college making more money than, well, hey, some guys making 2 million, 5 million. I don't know who the highest paid player is, but that's a lot of damn money. You know what? And they may not ever even make it in the NFL, but they've already been paid for what they're doing. I'm not trying to be sour about it. I'm happy for them. Darn it, I just wish that I had an opportunity to have the same thing.
You know what? It would have been fair
Yeah.
because I'm gonna ask because we're in the talk in a minute. I'm gonna do the segue. By the way, clip this. We're gonna talk the segue about how you were a fantastic athlete and you were recruited by both UCLA and USC. And at the time, USC was a dominant power with Coach McKay there, and then all running back and you go from OJ to Charles White and Marcus was at afterwards, but it was running back and student body left and student body right, just people running and it was the USC UCLA rivalry was, I mean, it's always been fantastic, but I think it was actually kind of better then between McKay and the UCLA coach before Vermeil. I don't even know who the hell the coach was before Dick Vermeil, because that's how I think that. And again, you will obviously say that you went to the better school, and we'll also find out why. But it was a haves and haves not in Southern California. Would you not agree?
I have a story for you.
Yes, sir.
Those that are listening right now, I'm going to tell you about the UCLA USC situation. When I was in high school, um, I took when I was in high school and I was being recruited, and December 18th, 1974 was my birthday. So tomorrow is my birthday. I'll be
Oh,
69 tomorrow. And
congrats,
so in
congrats, and
19 in 19 in 1974, I just turned I had a birthday. Then my brother Jackie, who was older than me, he was born in January. I was born in December the same year. So my brother, I was playing in a basketball tournament, and the 19th, we were standing out there. We were waiting to see who we were going to play for the championship game at Cardinal Newman High School, where I went to high school. And my athletic director came over to me and said, Jerry, you got a phone call. You got an emergency phone call. You need to take it in my office. I go into his office and I pick up the phone, and I'm told that I need to get to the hospital because my brother Jackie has been shot in the foot. So I get in my Volkswagen, my little 60, 70, 68, whatever year it was, Volkswagen red with a primer spot on it. I'm getting there. I get to the hospital, and then I asked my mom and my dad. I said, "Where's Jackie at?" And they pointed to this room, and so I burst into the room, and they were like, "You can't be in here. You got to be out here." And as I was in the room, I looked over in the left corner of that room. My brother, who had been shot in the foot, was his body was just bouncing off. He was having convulsions. I came out of the room and I asked my mom, I said, Mom, you told me Jackie was shot in the foot. If he was shot in the foot, why what was that going on? She said, Pumpkin. That's what my mom called me. She said, your brother was shot in the head. And I fell on the floor. I'll never forget this. I fell down on the floor. I was crying. I just lost it. And then those doors opened up and they were wheeling my brother down the hall. And I jumped up and I got up and I saw my brother. I saw the bullet hole in his head. It went in this way and it came out here. And to speed this story up, my brother, he fought for his life for over a year and a half. Now, that's my senior year in high school. John McKay calls me on the phone, wanted me to come down to USC. They were practicing for a national championship in the Rose Bowl, this and that. And I said, Coach McKay, I would love to, but my brother just been shot in the head. I don't know if he's on a life support system right now. I don't know if I can't make that. And then I'm not going to use the words he used. He said, F you. And I'm shocked on the phone. I'm a young kid. This is the John McKay. This is the man. And I said, what? And he said, F you. He said, you know what? Go ahead and go to UCLA and be a Bruin for 4 years, or you can go be a Trojan for life. I said, Coach, I can't make it down there. He said, you know what? You're not good enough to be a Trojan anyway. And then I cursed him out. And I told him, I said, you know what? I'd rather go to UCLA for 4 years and beat you one time. And when we do, I'm going to walk across that field and remind you of this conversation we had. And then he said, F you, and he hung up the phone. That's why I knew I was going to UCLA, because Coach Vermeil came in and it was a totally different thing. My freshman year, Pac 8, we're playing against USC. We beat the Trojans. And I tell you what, I was weaving in and out of ball players, and I walked over to Coach McKay. I said, you know what? I introduced myself again. I said, remember me? I said, do you remember the effing conversation you had? And he said, F you, and he just walked away. That's the true story. That's what happened. That's and so anyway, I've been meaning to. I've told some people know that story. Now more people can understand this story. I mean, I was crushed by the fact that he couldn't even understand that the only brother I had in life was dying, had been shot in the head, and he didn't care and decided to curse me out and use and go that whole route. But the strange thing was, after 4 years, after the last year, I played in the Hula Bowl, and had another bowl they were creating up in Seattle or Spokane, Washington. Okay, so they asked me, the committee, they asked me if I would come there because I was a 3-time All-American, and they wanted to publicize this and get some recognition. I said, sure. You get up there, the first team meeting, very first meeting we had as a team. I remember walking into the room, into the meeting room, and the coaching staff that was going to be our coaches were the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, coached by John McKay. I'm like, so I said, oh, here we go again. But you know what? We were able to talk about it, and he said, Jerry, I'm sorry, and I apologize.
Ah, ah. Oh, folks, we are having some technical difficulties. Because we didn't lose Jerry Robinson because he's there. He hasn't checked out yet. Oh, I mean, well, that's hard. But I'm gonna give Jerry a call real quick and find out what's going on. It might just be a battery issue. It might just be a battery issue because Jerry is on his phone. Yeah, hey Jerry, did you have a battery issue or a Wi-Fi issue?
Somebody called on the phone and it just changed up everything. I don't know what happened.
Ah, okay, yeah. Because I'm still there, and if you wanna try to hit the link to come back, we can do that again.
Okay.
All right, I'll wait till you pop back in.
Sorry about that.
No. Hey, that happens, man. No worries. Okay, well, there's the explanation. He was on, and he got a phone call, and when he got the phone call, it hit. There we go. Okay, and I'm gonna bring him back in, and I'm gonna remove this. So it's like, hey, technical difficulties, and you know, I'm very glad that you got to the ultimate. And the story was, but McKay came up to you, and he made amends for being a dick. I guess is about the best way to say it, and at least you have that knowledge going for you. Up, Jerry. Up. Wait. Check your mic. Check your mic. Yeah, you're muted. You're muted on your phone.
Now I am.
There you go.
Now,
Okay,
there we go.
now. Yep.
Hey, y'all, to all of those that are listening and watching, I've been concussed, so therefore I'm hitting buttons. I don't know what the hell I'm hitting. So just bear with it, brother.
Oh no. See, you actually have a better excuse than I do, because and I know that it's nothing to laugh at. I say this in lightheartedness. It says you can bring up the concussions and things like that. I just have to say I'm an old man. I just did something an old man would do. So yours is definitively sounds a hell of a lot better, sir.
No, you served in the military. Hey, you're good. I got you.
And again, I don't use that. I don't say that lightheartedly. I just said, hey, which is actually a subject, and clip this, that you brought up, and is it amongst the people, amongst your friends, how have you dealt with the effects of the hard hitting back then, which is a lot more. I mean, I can't. It's night and day. I mean, what was it? Who was it that was saying? I can't remember which one. I think it was Jack Lambert that said, "Just put skirts on the quarterbacks." I think it was Lambert that said that, because it was a different generation.
Jack did say that. He did say that. It is a different generation. The rules have been changed, to protect basically everybody, but the quarterback situation, is really, you can't even whisper in their ears without getting a flag thrown. That's how I feel about it. But anyway, the game has changed. It was more physicalness involved. You could do, not get away, because I was gonna say get away with stuff, but it wasn't illegal to do what now would be illegal to do some of the things that were done back then. But anybody that played back then, my time and before that, there are times when things get cloudy. Your memory I'm speaking of myself now here. You have this tendency to forget things and mood swings, but that's all part of the game. I do it all over. I do it all over again. I do it all over again. I mean, they're doing a lot of things to make things safer. I'll put it that way, because anybody that played back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and rules start changing, start really changing, especially contact type of stuff. Everybody's suffering from something, for something. I mean, it's like being in, I would explain it like this. It'd be like being in a car wreck, and we get whiplashed, or you get hit from the side, whatever, in your car accident. But it's more like 40 to 50, sometimes maybe 60 times, because that's how many plays you have in a game. And so it comes with the territory, but I'm still here. And
Yeah.
I got I got a lot to be grateful for. I really do. I do. But the game has changed, and I think I enjoy watching clips and highlights of the way it was back in the day. Back when when Assassin, and with Jack Tatum, and the Soul Patrol back there, with George Atkinson and Willie Brown and everybody, and Jack Lambert beating up people, and Dick Butkus, and those type of people. Just the physicalness of the game made it exciting, because I watched these highlights from greatest hits from different players, and Ronnie Lott and stuff like this, and oh man, I still go, ooh, it's so exciting to watch that. And the only time you can see it is watching old stuff, because right now, they're not doing it, because I understand the fact that it does have an effect on you once you get out of the game. Once you're out, you're out. You're not privy to all the doctors and the trainers and the treatments. At least my era isn't okay. Nowadays it's different, because a lot of stuff have changed. So when these kids get through retiring, they'll have probably less issues to deal with. I mean, and the issues that they're dealing with, they have the equipment and technology is so much far advanced that it'd be easy for them to make that adjustment, I guess.
I actually, it's funny that you mention that, because and I always kind of crack on Philip Rivers, because Philip Rivers was the only person I know that can cuss you out without cussing you out. Dad dang nabbit and dag gummit, and Philip Rivers was a hated person, but he came back out of the league for not quite 5 years. Did his game last week at the age of 44, and I say this with awe. And people are saying, well, that the insurance runs out at 5 years. So Philip picked himself up another 5 years of insurance for him and his 12 kids. And it's I say it, laughingly, but it's true. So if you can get on the field at 44 and you're good for another 5 years, because it's good for 5 years after you retire, and his clock started again. So bless you to a person that I can't stand, because he was so competitive. And Jerry, I swear like the sailor that I am. And for somebody like Philip Rivers that can do it without saying anything of a swear word, I take my hat off to you, sir, because that's amazing, and also amazing that you played at 44, and which actually, go ahead.
No, you're talking about. I was pulling for him so hard, man. You know what? And you're right. He talked a lot of smack, but like you say, he can curse you out without even cursing you out. You know what I mean? And he had that ability, has that ability. I was happy for him. You had brought up something about the 5 years. Okay. Well, when I retired, you only had 12 months. You have 1 year. Then after that 1 year, you had to go get insurance on your own. Now, that was back then when no one was giving insurance. Well, it was hard to get insurance if you had a pre-existing injury. Come on, 13 years in the NFL, there's a lot of pre-existing everything going on, right? But anyways, it's interesting now. Now it's set up for these guys after 92. You played after 92. Now they get 5 years. And someone said, "What's the big difference between um, when you played and the guys playing now?" There's a couple big differences. Number one is guaranteed money. Number two, direct deposits. and 401ks and a lot of other different things. There's a lot of things that have changed. And I feel good because I was part of that group that stood on those picket lines. I went through 2 strikes in the NFL with our union to make sure that the guys that came after us were taken care of. And it feels good to know that myself and I know several other ball players from back in the day, we made that sacrifice for these young men to be able to be in a situation they can right now. I mean, it's funny. The Raider game, the last Raider game I went to, the last home game, was that Denver?
Okay.
All right, we're on the bus. We're on an alumni bus, and we go down below where the team parks all their cars. And Jim Plunkett, I love Jim Plunkett. Jim said, "Jerry, the amount of money that is in these cars right here could pay for the entire team's salary when we were playing ball." And we laugh about it. And I got to tell you something. I love Jim Plunkett. Even although he was they beat us in Super Bowl 15. Jim is one of my dear friends, man, and it was a real honor for me to be invited to his birthday dinner that Denver Bronco weekend. And he's one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet in your life. People, I'm telling you right now, one of Jim's best friends is a guy by the name of George Lopez. Now, Jim Plunkett was on the George Lopez show earlier during the year, and me and Jim, we always have fun together. And it's just, I still have a hard time. I don't understand how come he's not getting any flowers or any push for being in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I mean, but anyway, I love Jim Plunkett. I just can't, you know what? And I never thought he'd be that funny, but he loves messing with me. I swear. I mean, I'm like, yeah, when he sees me, I saw him last time, and his timing is perfect. Every time alumni weekend, not alumni, we're just going to a game, okay? Alumni, we meet downstairs, get ready to catch the bus. There's always a large crowd around, and Jim will come through, and he'll come walking straight up in front of everybody. Hey, Jerry, get my bags. Park my car. I'm in room this and that. And this has been going on serious. And Captain Jack is so funny. It's just, and I look forward. It's funny because I look forward to that because I love Jim. I told him, I said, I love you. And he told me he loves me too, man. It's just something about him. But these people that don't know our relationship, especially these younger alumni, they're like, he just told Jerry to get his damn bags. The next time, make sure they're unfolded and here's the key to the room and make sure everything's hung up correctly. And but anyway, I just wanted to share that with y'all, man.
No, I mean, it was, get me if I'm wrong, but it would be like what you would go through as a rookie in camp. Rookie, go get my bags. Rookie, go get my helmet. Rookie, you will be running around for the older players, and not just a rite of passage that football players had. It was I can't remember what the proper term is. It's
rookie hazing.
Yeah, hazing. There you go. It's hazing but it's acceptable because you're in the family
Yeah.
of a professional. So you go through crap your first year, and then at the end of the summer, you're in there, and that's out of love, man. It is, and you
You know,
understood that.
Captain Jack, you're right about that. That's every rookie. That's expected. Okay, that's rookie. But it's different when both of us have a Medicare card, a supplement, and Social Security. It's so he's still. But I look forward to it. It's so much fun, man. It just lightens up the whole. It lightens up the whole room. But anyway.
Yeah, and I tell you, again, folks, if you're not catching it, that is Jerry's Philadelphia Eagles uniform. Above that, you see him number 56 that he played in Super Bowl 15. And
Thanks, Jack.
well, I'm just saying, well, because here's the thing, Jim, you can always get with Rod because Rod can get on Jim's case because there is no way, and I love Jim Plunkett, but I love Rod Martin because Rod was one of the few people that he comes up and says, "Hey, yo, Captain Jack," he's talking to me because he
Yeah.
knows who I am. And
Yeah.
anybody, you've done that, and Rod's done that, and Mo Bradshaw, and again, may Mo rest in peace. All these people that we've spoken about that are no longer here, for them to come up and know who I am is something that's humbling to me. But Rod Martin can always go up and I know he said it in the past. Plunkett cost him a car. There's no way in hell that Rod Martin should not have been the MVP of Super Bowl 15 with 3 interceptions, and it was Jim.
You know something? You just made me realize something because the first time I saw when I came from the Eagles to the Raiders, I remember telling Jim Plunkett, I said, "You know what, man? Rod Martin should have been the MVP in Super Bowl 15." I said, "When you make it on the cover of Sports Illustrated, you're normally the MVP." You know what Jim said?
Yep.
He said, "You know what, Jerry? I tell you what, my wife Jerry wants to thank you for that Mercedes Benz that I got for the MVP of Super Bowl 15." So I said, "It wasn't a Mercedes, it was a Pinto, damn it. Come on, Jim."
But
But you're
yeah, I
right.
mean, and that was a fantastic. And again, I didn't bring it up to like rub it, but for those that didn't know, because again, I love that Eagles jersey. By the way, I remember seeing lots of Jerry Robinson, lots of Bill Berge 66, lots of Big Daddy Carl Harrison. I think it was like
Yeah.
71, 7. Okay, yeah,
78.
78. Yeah,
Hey,
and
Captain
so I
Jack,
know that team.
Captain Jack, check this out. That jersey behind us, okay, that behind me, that is the jersey that we also wore. Those were our home jerseys. We wore those. It's a mesh jersey. That jersey was
Yeah.
worn in December in chilly Philadelphia. We didn't have all
Oh,
of these. There's holes in there, man. I'm like, oh my God, Lord have mercy. I just realized I said we didn't have all this special stuff they have now. But yeah, anyway, but I have fond memories of that. I'm gonna tell you another story about that. When I came to the Raiders after when I got traded, I might have told you this story before, but I'm gonna tell it. You want to hear it? Here it is. Here's the story. The day I got traded, I remember when I flew into LA and I was at the hotel and they took me over to had to get a physical with our doctor, Dr. Rosenfeld, and of course the Los Angeles Raiders doctors were in Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, right? So I get there and go through all the testing stuff, and they bring me back to the facility because I was waiting for the shuttle bus from the hotel to pick me up. So I'm sitting there all alone on a day off on a Tuesday. I'm in this Raider locker room and I start looking around at the names of the people that were in that locker room. And then I stood up and I turned around and I saw my helmet. I grabbed my helmet and I put it on and I sat back down and the tears just started running from my eyes. I said, "Thank you, Jesus. I finally made it." I was like, wow. Anyway, that's what it meant for me to be a Raider. And
No, no, I
and
get
and
it.
and that right there to me is that if you don't feel like that when you come to the Raiders, you don't need to. Your ass don't need to be part of that, because the guys that were there, they felt that way, and things started changing as they got older. Guys were coming in just for money. After that, several years later, just this da 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 da. But no, I bleed just like you do, silver and black. And yeah, I thought I'd just share that story with everybody because that meant so much to me. I finally made it. I remember the big tears, big crocodile-sized tears. I was just sitting there on my stool, just crying. It's just to be part of that family, and that's what it is. It is a family because I can count on anybody, any one of those guys. We can call each other, and we'll be there in some way to support each other. And we've had a lot of people pass away, and we'll all help each other out through these tough times, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is. Like I said, I don't know what it's like now in that locker room, but I sure know what it was like back then, and I'll never forget it. We're all brothers for life, man, and it's just it's an experience that I'm glad I had a chance to experience that, and anyway, I'm done. Before I start
Oh
crying.
no, no, and I would say, no. Well, and go right ahead because I know how you feel in one respect. I never made it as a pro, but I think because of those stories, and this would be a great time to do another segue. If you would like to hear more stories like this, then make sure you are on the Raiders Legends Cruise, May 15th through 18th, leaving from Long Beach, California, down to Ensenada, back to Long Beach. That's May 15th through 18th of 2026. I'm going to be there. Jerry's going to be there. Kenny King's going to be there. Frank Hawkins is going to be here. And Jeff Barnes and his wife, Anita, are the folks that are behind the charitable cruise for the Raider Legends. Go ahead, Jerry.
You know what? And Kenny King, that's another. I love Kenny King. Kenny King, that touchdown he scored in Super Bowl 15, he tells people that I'm the one that couldn't catch him. I'm the one that's responsible. We have so much fun. And I say, Kenny, I'm trying to rush. I'm outside linebacker. Now I rush the quarterback. I'm this close to grabbing Jim Plunkett and snatching him down on the ground. Gene Upshaw is in my chest, and he literally closes me down like this, and he should have been arrested because that was assault. Okay, he took me down, and Jim threw the pass, and Herm Edwards misjudged the pass, and Kenny King. We have so much fun having joking behind that. So when I came to the Raiders, the first practice I had, Gene Upshaw had already retired. Okay, and Gene he always showed up. And I remember after practice, I walked over to Gene. I said, "Man," I said, "Gene," I said, "You remember?" I said, "You were holding the hell out of me." I said, "You held me to a point that there's no way I can get away." You know what he said? He said, "Did they call it?" I said, "Nope." He said, "Then it
Mm,
wasn't holding." I'm like, "Okay, that if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying." That's one of those things right there. But it's just,
yep.
I don't know. I just got this mad love for the Raiders, man. I want these young guys to be able to experience the victories that we had, because people, there's a lot of Raider fans that just love the team, and there's guys on the team that don't know what it's like to be part of the winning program of the Raiders. Okay, I mean, it's different. All they got to do is start winning, and one thing about the Las Vegas, about Allegiant Stadium, when you go to a game, you see other team. This. You pay the Steelers come into town. That damn terrible towel is all the way. There's so many terrible towels. If the Niners are playing, there's a lot of red or whatever visiting teams, and I know that there's some season ticket holders, they sell their tickets. I understand that. Okay, but if you start winning, that'll stop. Start winning, and certain
Yeah.
things will stop. And but it makes me it's sad to see that there's so many fans from the opposing team. But then you got to realize, well, Vegas is a destination spot. So when these people look on their schedule and they see, oh, we're going to go to Las Vegas and play the Raiders, they start saving up money. And I understand that. But I know that season ticket holders that they get rid of their tickets because they're not happy with what's going on. All the Raiders have to do is start winning, and you'll see that change. So, but you were talking about that cruise, the Raiders cruise for a cause. Now, I don't know if you can see my cowboy hat. I don't know if you can see it, but I got this hat on one of the Legends cruise in Ensenada, and they treat us really nicely down there. You get a lot of great deals down there, and it's just every time I see this hat, it reminds me of that cruise, the Ensenada, and the ball players that are there, because we have so much fun talking about things that only we can talk about, but we do get a chance to share a lot of stuff with other people. That's the one thing that you brought up. I'm glad you did, because you're looking at two-time Super Bowl champions. You're looking at the Raiders only won three. They got three Super Bowl championship rings. Two or three of the guys on that panel or that are going on this cruise, they have both. They have two out of three, and it's I enjoy when people get a chance to ask questions from the audience. They get it. Some of them talk about, well, I met my wife when I was at a Raider game, or I've been a Raider fan for this long, and this and that, and the interaction between the fans, and the audience with the microphones and the ball players up there on the stage. I like it because they get to see another side of us. Okay, and it's a great thing. So don't miss out. Let's take over the Pacific Ocean.
And
I don't
remember,
have a captain's patch, but
no, see that. Hey, by the way, Stu Schweigert has my last. I have an eye patch that I left over at his house when I was in Indianapolis, so I'm down an eye patch, but that's okay
we'll
because
get you one.
Stu gave. Well, here's the. Do you know what Stu gave me that weekend when I
No.
was in Indianapolis? This is funny. The first time that I met Stu Schweigert was on a YouTube show with Graphic Raider, and Stu was there, and I was talking about, I have a lot of stuff. If I do the camera, this is the Raider room, and it's just full. Yeah, there's two TVs going. It's just full of Raider memorabilia and things. I mean, like there's the Raiders, what is it? What do you call it? The things that's up that makes air. Shoot, I am calling old age now. The things that go like the
I know.
yeah,
I'm with you.
yeah. There's a Raider village over there with Raider trains, and there's all the stuff. So I'm going through all of these things, and Stuart Schweigert says to me, and again, I don't know him other than we had just met, virtually. He says, "Jack, I know something you don't have," and I'm like, "Well, Stuart, what is that?" He says, "You don't have an authentic Oakland Raiders jockstrap, game worn." Game worn. And I remembered that. So when I went up to Indianapolis this last trip, because I knew it was coming, because I remembered it and he remembered it and Graphic remembered it. They had a ceremony down in Stewart's rumpus room, which has all of his stuff, and he gave me the autographed Stuart Schweigert Oakland Raiders game worn bikey jockstrap, and it was funny because it's on Instagram, so it's like, and it's over there. It's in my room, so there are things that I have that are game stuff. Like I've occasionally gotten a towel and some gloves that have been thrown at me. I had what is it? The Josh Jacobs threw me a pair of gloves when I was in Chicago. So I have both of them, and that's rare. But I've had other gloves and things. But a Stuart Schweigert game-worn Oakland Raiders bikey jockstrap is probably something that nobody, in fact, I would say autographed, that nobody in the world has except for me. So people are like, you're sick. I'm like, no, it was funny. and it was the camaraderie of what people have when you're shipmates or when you're teammates and things like that. So I proudly say that that's something that I have, because again, I feel akin to, I never wore the pads, but I feel the kinship and the familia that I have with the Raider players, because I've been a Raider up here for 53 years now. I just didn't get a chance to wear the pads, but I've been a Raider my whole life of my adult life, shall we say. And when you're a Raider in Philadelphia, that says a lot.
Oh, it sure does say a lot. So, Jack, you know what? I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about, I know how you feel. I know how you feel. You're somebody you didn't put on the pads, but still. Imagine me, 8-year-old kid, 8-year-old kid going to the El Rancho Tropicana and seeing Stabler and LaMonica and George Blanda and Coach Madden and Tatum and just Mad Stork and Ted Hendricks, and seeing them growing up. And then I'm playing against that team that I grew up watching in Super Bowl 15, and we lose. But then I get traded to that team, and I'm actually wearing the pads that those guys used to wear as being part of. So it runs deep. I know what you mean. That's how deep mine runs, and yours is the same. It's the same, man, and it's amazing. It really is. Hmm. Old jockstrap, huh?
Actually, that's it. Yeah, well, yeah, I'd show you there. Go on Instagram if you guys
Okay.
can find it. But if you Google it, I'm sure you can go Stuart Schwager, Captain Jack, jockstrap. I'm sure that it'll come up
I'm sure it
somewhere.
will.
But it was a big, and his buddy Chike O'Keefer was there as well, and Chike is going to be out there in Arizona because he was a Cardinal and a Seahawk, couple other different teams, and so he says he's going to be coming out to Arizona. So I'm going to Arizona next year, and I know that's going to be. And Chike is a great guy too. So the fact that I can say that I have as friends, players that and I can call for now. I don't. And I say this to you, and I say this to all the other people, especially Lincoln. I said, you guys, I are my good friends, but I don't reach out to you because most everybody and their grandmother will call you up and say, Jerry, I need a hookup. I need this. I need that. And I don't want to be that guy, because you guys that gave so much, and then people are always looking for a good thing. I mean, I don't like to do that. So it's like,
Well,
don't take
Captain
offense
Jack,
to that.
Captain Jack, I'll tell you what, Captain Jack, you can call me for anything. You know that, man. You know that, and
Yes, sir.
we're family. Okay, I know what you're saying. You're actually right about that. But you know what? I call you for a hookup. Shit.
Yeah, well, actually, when I was talking with Ira last night, because Ira got a chance to come down and hang out at the house last year when the Raiders were playing the Bucks, and so I had Ira in the house, and he had a mini signing here, and it was his sister and John Matusak's sister Karen was here. So
Wow.
we had her in the house, and so I enjoy getting an opportunity, and I tell people, I said, ooh, and as a matter of fact, I got to call Jay up because Jay Schrader was just here this past weekend, and I just remembered. I said, Jay, the next time you're in Tampa, let me know. And he goes, yeah, I'm going to be there during these dates. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's when the Raiders are playing Philly. I will be in town that entire weekend. So I have to say, hey, Jay, I'm sorry. I'm sure you were busy, but I would have had Jay over at the house. I would have you over at the house just because, it's wonderful to have Raiders come in and see, see the premises here, the nice Hall of Fame that I got.
Well, if I get down that way, I'm definitely coming by the crib. You know that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I guess the good segue is, and trust me, I don't want to keep you up too much, but I would be remiss if I would say, and you've already alluded to a lot of it, with Jim Plunkett and the Stork and Kenny Stable and all the things, all the players that you've had a chance to be with, and the players that they were. What was your favorite? Okay, obviously going to the Super Bowl and not winning was not a good time. But was there any other major events that you remember that was memorable in your career that you'd like to, espouse upon with fans here?
There's two of them. The number one is being in the locker room. The story I told you about when I sat in that locker room and grabbed my helmet and put it on and sat down and tears ran out. That's number one. Number two, I remember, and it means a lot to me and the guys that were there, when Art Shell became our head coach. And I believe it was a Thursday night game, or I know it was televised against the New York Jets.
I remember. I was in the Philippines watching it on TV.
Yep, and I remember that locker room. We were telling each other, we're going to do whatever in the hell we got to do to make sure we win this football game. There's no way we weren't going to win that game. And we won that game, and it meant a lot because, there was a historical value to it too, but it was the bonding that took place, what we were willing to do for that, especially for his first game, that sticks real close to my heart. But the other thing is just the relationships that I have with the different ball players, man. It's just a lot of us, we still talk to each other now, and especially you get to that age where you got to call and check up on people because you don't want to hear about it in the news that something happened to somebody or they're not doing well. So that we've lost a lot of people lately, and guys are reaching out to each other just to say hi, to see how they're doing. I mean, I've had 3 phone calls from 3 different people, and it's like, "Yo, JR, we're just calling to check up on you, see how you're doing." Da 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 da, and that's just something special, Captain Jack. You can't put a value on that, man. And it's just that's what makes it so special to be a part of the Raider family for life. And it's really it is. I can't really put it into words. It's a lot of emotion involved, man. And when you got teammates of yours, they call you and tell you, look, man, I want to know how you're doing. Don't give me no BS because we can be real with each other. And if somebody needs some help, maybe doctors or whatever it is, or whatever might pop up, it's good to know. I mean, matter of fact, I got a call from Vince Evans a couple of days ago. Remember Vince, our quarterback, and we always joking with each other, this and that. And he said, "JR, I just called, man, to see how you're doing." And I told him a couple of things that were going on, health wise. And he said, "I'm going to pray for you." I said, "I appreciate that." He said, "No, right now." And while we were on the phone, he said a prayer for me that touched my heart. I'll never forget it. But it's what I needed that day, yesterday, is what I needed. And that's what makes it so special about the people, the ball players. They're the ball players on one side, but they're people and their friends on the other side. And that prayer hit me so hard, and it was just what I needed to help me re-energize my day and put some other things in perspective. And I love him for that. And but we do a lot of that nowadays, because we're all getting older, and you can't believe what you see on the internet. I mean, unfortunately, they had Lynn Swan passing away the other day, and I'm like, what? He ain't passed away. I saw it. The things that show up on social media. You got to be careful what you. They said rest in peace, number 88. I'm like, what? But then I found out that it was just some more fake, whatever the heck it was. But it's good to know, Captain Jack, that if I ever really need something, if I need something or somebody to talk to or someone to listen to me, I know I have a band of brothers that I can call. And that's what that's what this experience as a professional athlete and as an athlete, high school, college. I mean, I still have college friends and Eagle friends and Raider friends. that means a lot to me to know that, you know, people care, you know, and it ain't about scoring touchdowns, ain't about making tackles or interceptions. It's about how are you doing, and don't bullshit me, because you know what, we're teammates and we're friends and I love you. And there's been a lot of healing and a lot of people being helped through communication of through alumni.
Sorry, I just need I try to make sure I catch the cough by the mutes, and I will say this, that thank you for sharing that, and I would be remiss, folks, if you do not know. And by the way, Willie Wayne, thank you for telling me it's a ceiling fan. See, that I was like, one of those things that go like this, and in the comment section, it's a ceiling fan. I would be remiss if folks, if you do not know, and tell me if I'm wrong, a member of the College Football Hall of Fame, Mr. Jerry Robinson, and it well deserved. You said your All American statuses, being out of UCLA, and number 85, if I remember correctly, from the old pictures that I had. 84. Okay. Dang it! I knew it was something that was unique. Yeah, but no, from the College Football Hall of Fame, and that's another honor. And how often do you get a chance to hang out with the alumni that are CFB Hall of Famers as well?
You know, well, the other day, here we go, Bronco game. That was on a Sunday, and Tuesday they were having the College Football Hall of Fame induction, because it's in Vegas now. When I was inducted, it was in South Bend, Indiana. Okay, and Callie, who runs our alumni department, Callie Welsh, she when we went downstairs to getting ready to get on the bus, she had this Raider helmet, and she asked me to sign. I said, and she was telling me, she said, it's for the banquet, it's for the Hall of Fame thing. So Jim Plunkett has signed it because he's on the College Football Hall of Fame. I signed it. Ricky Hunley signed it. David Williams signed it. And we're going to get Marcus to sign it. And I'm just thinking, I said, all these College Hall of Famers, we're all on the same team together in the pros. You know what I mean? We all played for the Raiders. And it was I didn't have a chance to go to the event because I had to come back because I had some things I had to take care of. But I try to do as much as I can, because that was a big honor for me, because Captain Jack, I went to UCLA as a tight end and a wide receiver, and I catch 2 passes my freshman year, and we beat USC to go to the Rose Bowl, and Coach Vermeil calls me to his office and, Jerry, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but as a wide receiver, you're a dime a dozen. He said, but I think if you were to move to inside backer, I think you could revolutionize the position. Now, I didn't know what I was really getting into, but he said, I remember him saying, you know what, we have 2 weeks to prepare for you for the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Rose Bowl. He said, I think you could possibly even play in the Rose Bowl. Well, I made the transition from wide receiver, from the sweatbands and the stuff under here and the socks all neat and stuff, to a bunch of pads and a neck roll to just playing linebacker now. And I got in a couple plays in the Rose Bowl. I'll never forget the very first play. Archie Griffin was running a sweep to the right. And when I saw him take off, boom, I met him at the line of scrimmage even before he got there. Someone up in the press box must have said, hold on a second. Number 84 just made the tackle now. They must have looked in their program and said, wait a minute, 84 is a wide receiver. What the hell is he doing playing inside linebacker? The next play, they had a fullback named Pete Johnson, big dude.
Went to the Bengals, big guy, 46.
Yep. And there was no outside run. They came right at me. And I just remember that was the first time I experienced cleats running over my head, my chest. I was like, okay. So they said, you know what? No, we're going after that. So that in itself, to make that transition, and I didn't know anything about playing linebacker. And I had a great coach named Jed Hughes, and he taught me everything I know. And the rest is kind of history. I mean, to me, now that I'm older, I'm look back on it, I said, no wonder most of the majority of my friends were saying, "You, JR, you got to be crazy. You're going to go from a wide receiver to playing inside backer. They're going to kill you." And at that point, I remember telling my good friend, his name was Johnny Gibbs. I said, "Johnny," I said, you just see what's on the outside of me. I said, you don't know what's inside of my heart. I said, I'm gonna prove all you people wrong." And I did, because history would show that. But it was just that was a big accomplishment for me. But I just wanted to play, Captain Jack. I just wanted to play because as a wide receiver, I wasn't playing that much. So I went along. Thanks God for Coach Vermeil, who I spoke to today. I speak to him quite a bit, and he's a good man. Dick Vermeil is a great man. He really, truly is. I remember 1975 when I went to UCLA. I remember our first team meeting. He told everybody in the meeting, "You guys listen." He said, "My office is down the hall and my door is always open." That was 1975. Captain Jack, it's 2025 right now, and that door of his is still open to anyone who's ever played for him. He's one of the most remarkable human beings I ever met in my whole life. He worked us to death now, but still, I mean, that's the type of person he was. So I'm just grateful that I've had coaches that I just talked to my high school coach today. So I still call my coaches coaches, you know what I mean? Because I've had great coaches, I mean, I am who I am. A lot of that has to do with the coaches that I had in high school and college when I was playing basketball in high school. And it just, I learned a lot about, being humble and just about working hard and about, it's about the team and it's not about you, it's making sacrifice. So I've been very fortunate to have some coaches and mentors and leaders. And I've been blessed. My body's hurting now, even though hey, I tell you what, they said, "Would you do it all over again?" I was like, if I did it all over again, I probably would. Yes, I probably would, but I'm sure I wouldn't have to have a handicap placard like I have now because the rules have changed. But anyway, I'm just having fun.
Well, from one handicap placard to another, you know,
Yeah.
it just means that you've been in the military. They call it being in the shit, and
Okay.
you were in the shit, and I say we as an audience of Raider fans, of football fans, of Eagle fans, we appreciate all the time that you've spent with us, UCLA Bruin fans. I don't want to forget them because God forbid people would say, you forgot about the Bruins, but all the people that you've touched in your career and all the things that you've done and all of the events that you've had. Like I said, again, another plug. Make sure you go to the Raiders Legend Cruise, May 15th through 18th of 2026. Miss Anitha Barnes, Jeff Barnes' wife, and them have a great charitable cruise that they do each year. And Jerry's going to be there, Frank Hawkins, Kenny King, and I'm forgetting Jerry, Frank Hawkins, Kenny King, and see now I'm the four. I know the four. Kenny, Jerry, Frank. Oh, of course, Jeff. Well, of course. I mean that's why I forget, because Jeff's always there. I'm like, well, I was forgetting Jeff. I'm like, of course, Jeff's going to be there. So,
hey, Jack, Captain Jack, I tell you something. Jeff Barnes is one of the funniest, most entertaining people on the planet. I'm telling you, if y'all want to if you're in for some entertainment, for a lot of entertainment, get on that cruise because we have a whole lot of fun, and it's just it's our way of appreciating, giving back to the fans, and the fans have an opportunity to be part of us on this cruise, and they're also helping the cause. And I just want to say, man, thank you again for letting me be on your show. I truly appreciate it, Jack. And once again,
no.
remember this: there's only one nation. There's only one nation, and I'm a proud member of that, and so are you. And let's get this Raider Nation. Let's take over the Pacific Ocean.
For sure. And Jerry, thanks again for being here again. We cut it in a nice portion of under 2 hours because it was a lot longer last time. We had a lot of fun last time too, but I was peppering you with a bunch of questions. But I think we hit the highlights of everything, and And again, you and Jeff has been on, and I said I hope to see Ira in it. Ira said, "Yeah, I got to get on your show, Jack." And I'm like, "Yeah, Ira, you do." And Pancho has been there. So anybody that
Okay.
because we're going to have the people that are on the cruise. Kenny King will be on this show, and I Jeff's already been on there. And Frank, I'm looking forward to Frank Hawkins because I don't think I've ever met Frank Hawkins. So
No,
I'll be looking forward to him being on the show too.
He has some story too. Now, Kenny King, let me just say this about Kenny King. I'm so proud of Kenny King because I believe it was last month, it might have been, they renamed his high school football field after him. Okay, now I don't know if you knew about that, but if you did, I'm sure you do. But if you didn't, I just want everybody to know that, that's a big honor for Kenny, and I'm just so happy for him. Even though he gives me, you know, he's the chocolate Jim Plunkett when it comes to messing with me, okay? It's like and Jim he's a Hispanic brother messing with me. You know what? Really, Captain Jack, once again, man, it's a real honor and a pleasure. I love talking to you. I always have a blast with you and can't wait to see you, buddy. And I hope to see a lot of people on this cruise, y'all. Get on that cruise. Have some fun. You deserve it. You only live once. If you got it, if you can work it out, go ahead and let somebody take care of you. That's what a cruise is like. They let somebody else take care of you. And on top of that, you get to hang out with some Raider legends, and you will have, trust me, you will have a good time. You will have a real good time. That's why I continue to do it. And like I said, JB and Anita, they've been doing it for, this might be the 11th or 12th cruise, I'm not sure, but it's a great cause, and you get to be with the Raider Nation family, and just come check it out for yourself. Come check it out for yourself. But anyway, Captain Jack, I know I got to go take my medication because I'm at that age, you know what I mean? And it is always a pleasure, man. I love you, and it's always, and you do a great job. And once again, Raider Nation, thank you. Thank the fans, man, for hanging in there and for being who you are. Because like I said, that's one of the things I miss. I miss our fans, to hear the roar of the crowd, and then somebody might even call out your name, and then and when we were playing in LA, there were a couple of real good fights in the Coliseum. Anyway, let me tell you this story. You might even been there. I think we were playing the Pittsburgh
Nope.
Steelers.
I would be. I never made it to the LA Coliseum.
Okay,
So,
all right then. Okay.
But everybody kind of thinks, "Oh, I remember you in LA." I'm like, no, you
Nope.
didn't. But that's fine. I appreciate you saying that.
We're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, and there was a TV timeout, and all of a sudden you hear this rumbling in the stands. This roar starts to get a little louder. So we look up in the stands, and two Raider fans are beating the heck out of a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. They beat him all the way down, and then they picked him up and threw him on the track.
Wow.
And I'll never forget this. The Steeler ball players, they turned around and they saw what happened, and I forgot who it was, but one of them said, "Damn fool, shouldn't have worn that Pittsburgh Steeler jersey in here." I was like, okay. They do better. But anyway, buddy, I'm gonna run and you run, and God bless you, man. I love you, and once again, it's always a pleasure being on your show.
And like I said, Jerry, anytime you want, it's there. Anytime you, and at the end of the season, if you want to bitch like the rest of us, there's only a couple more weeks. Only a couple more weeks, so you can let all the bitching out, and we got it. But again, Jerry, I wholeheartedly hats off to you, and thank you for being here, and looking forward to more wonderful times on the Raiders Legends cruise. Make sure you get with me. Make sure you get with Miss Anita and Erica Stevens.
Yes,
I will have some information. And stupid me, I don't have the contact information for Erica Stevens. Anita, if you're still there, and I'm not sure if she's still in the comments section. If you have Erica's information, because if you drop her info, and by the way, if you put pound Captain Jack, there are like discount prices for various things, and every time that you come in, and this much I know, and I will say this, and maybe if I can find it, but it's Eric Stevens, and not much I know, and it's pound, and I'll try to get the information, pound Captain Jack, and you get with her, and she has all the information. Also, Anita has it. So I will try to put it into making it happen fruition. Get with me. Just say, hey, Captain, what is that information? And I'll try to put it in the comments section as well. And I'm remiss because I normally have all of that stuff available, and I don't. And that's just stupidity on my part. But get on the Raiders Legends cruise, and we'll get more information. You'll see more players on my shows. Jerry's going to be there. I'm going to be there, God willing, and inshallah. And if the sun rises in the morning, we're all going to be there with all of our Raider hearts there as well. And Jerry, thanks again. Go take your meds, because I got to go take mine in a minute as well.
I'm going to go crack this bottle of Geritol. I got you. Love you, Jack. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks again, Jerry.
You're welcome.
Take care, everybody. That's Jerry Robinson, and gonna go out. You're gonna say goodbye to him. Thank you, Jerry, and great having him on. And I'm gonna do the outro again. Get with the Raider Legends cruises. Gonna be there May 15th through 18th next year. Out of and by the way, I saw the ship. The accommodations for the ship. It's one of the newer Carnival ships, and I can't wait to get on board with everybody there. So y'all take care. I'm about ready to do my outro. We'll see you tomorrow for my regular Thursday show. We'll see you 9:00 Eastern. So about this time, a little bit past this time. About this time tomorrow, 9:00 Eastern, we're talking Raiders football in Houston. There are events in Houston Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday during the game. So get to Houston, get with all the folks that are there, and we'll have a great time there. So take care, everybody. We'll see you for the next show. Yar.